Speaker, my question is for the Minister of Economic Development, Job Creation and Trade, and I want to thank the Minister and the Premier for coming to Oshawa last night. Yesterday was a hard day for a lot of my constituents and across Durham region. For many, General Motors is a part of the family tree. For years, workers did everything they could to keep the plant open. However, yesterday, the Wall Street Journal summarized the problem when it said, "Canada is among the most expensive countries in the world to build cars and the highest cost market for car assembly in the North America Free Trade Zone." Speaker, can the minister tell the House what our government is doing to make Ontario more competitive and bring businesses to Ontario?
Minister of Economic Development, Job Creation and Trade.
And that's a great question, Mr. Speaker, and I thank the member from Durham for the question this morning. I want to stress that what the member stated is absolutely correct. Time and time again, Canadian auto workers at General Motors were measured as the most efficient and the most effective on the continent. But this is a global marketplace, and it's not enough for our workers to compete. We have to compete as a province, Mr. Speaker, and for 15 years we just didn't. But in the last 6 months, this government has repealed Bill 148. The Finance Minister has worked to create a lower tax rate and accelerate capital cost depreciation here in Ontario, Mr. Speaker. The Energy Minister is on a crusade to undo the last decade of destruction that made energy poverty a reality, not just for people on the ground, but for our business community in Ontario as well. Mr. Speaker, Ontario is going to be competitive. That's how we bring business here, and that's how we're going to keep good jobs here in Ontario.
Supplementary.
Speaker, I want to thank the minister for his answer.
For Davenport.
Back in May, the CEO of Magna had this to say about the auto sector in Ontario. "I get very frustrated when I see the decisions being made that put undue administrative costs and inefficiencies on our plants, specifically here in Ontario, because we have to compete. We're not going to get business if we're forced to be uncompetitive." I'm glad our government is taking the challenges faced by the auto sector seriously. But some challenges, like tariffs, require the cooperation of the federal government in order to keep plants open here in Ontario. Can the minister update the House on our efforts to fight tariffs and protect Ontario's auto sector?
Minister.
Speaker, the member from Durham has highlighted an important part of the equation here, and that is the aluminum and steel tariffs that remain in place even after the signing of the USMCA. The average car crosses the border 7 times before it's fully assembled, and tariffs on steel make life harder for parts manufacturers and car manufacturers to do their jobs. Since coming to government on June 29th, Ontario has sent deputations to the United States congressional committees. We've worked with state governments and our counterparts there, and just a couple of weeks ago I had a great conversation with the American ambassador Kelly Craft to talk about our trading relationship with the United States and how important that is on both sides of the border. We're calling on the federal government, Mr. Speaker, to press the Americans to lift Section 232. Those are the tariffs on steel and aluminum, because keeping them in place, Mr. Speaker, is harming our auto manufacturing on both sides of the border. It's a win-win to remove those tariffs now for the U.S. and for us here in Ontario.